Arnold.
Okay, we are live streaming today. It is June 28th, and I am in Roanoke, Virginia. And I've just been involved in a 3-day, 4-day golf tournament, depending on how you count it. I did very, very well and mostly lost. But it's been a great time. I'm running for Congress. Vote for me. November 3rd. Give to my campaign, DeanArnoldForCongress.com. Somebody asked for my website the other day. I think they wanted to give. So that's a good thing. By the way, the background you see there is a virtual background. And it's a little bit weird, but it's my usual background from Chattanooga. I'm in Roanoke. So the background is going to be kind of weird, but it will be comfortable for you because it is what we are used to. Today we're going to talk about Ethiopia. The question is, why Ethiopia? I wrote a book about Ethiopia, kind of a thick, long book called Unknown Empire that got a lot of great reviews and thousands of people have read it. And I think it's made an impact, and I'm proud of the work. It took me, 3, 4, 5 years, big project. But why did I get into Ethiopia? What is the reason? And there is a reason. And we will talk about it today. That is our topic of the day. Meanwhile, let's do our usual, which is to get into the scripture of the day. And I usually have, at home, I usually have 2 monitors. So it's a little easier for me to share the screen, but I think I'm going to be okay here. You should see it on your screen. Yes, you do. Now I'll go to where I can see it. There's the Romans 6 is the epistle, but there's 2 gospel passages, Luke 24, Matthew 8. We're going to skip Romans. It's kind of got similar material that we've covered before. We're going to cover briefly the 2 gospel passages. Luke 24. Now, on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they and certain other women with them came to the tomb, bringing the spices which they had prepared. But they found the stone rolled away. First thing I want to mention here is that we read this passage a lot. Well, first of all, the story is told 4 different times in the Bible in the 4 different Gospels. But also, the Orthodox Church on its church calendar makes sure that we read this passage a bunch of different times. And why? Well, because it's the most important event in the history of the world ever and ever will be. So, yeah, it's probably a good idea to keep going back to it. Jesus gets buried in this tomb. The women come early in the morning. They're bringing spices. They want to anoint his body. They get there. They want to know who's going to roll the stone away for them to do it. They get there. The stone's already rolled away. They go in there. There's a couple of angels. Let's read that passage. Verse 4, as it happened, they were greatly perplexed about this. And behold, 2 men stood by them in shining garments. And as they were afraid and bowed their faces to the earth, the 2 men said, why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here. Remember, he told you he was going to rise from the dead. Okay. Anyway, this story is told again and again, and we need to continue telling it again and again, because this is the key to our faith. Everything revolves around the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But the thing I want to focus in on this passage, amongst other things, but today we're going to focus on this verse 4. These 2 men, they're angels, obviously, in shining garments, and they're on either side of the tomb. Okay. Well, what does that remind us of? Those of you who remember the details of the Old Testament, the Ark of the Covenant was this long rectangle box with 2 cherubim or angels on either side. So when we get to the real Ark of the Covenant, the real deal, not just the box that Moses was supposed to make for the tabernacle, but the real Ark of the Covenant, which is the tomb of Jesus Christ, got this slab, and you got 2 angels on either side telling the women, what to go do. So, the Ark of the Covenant in another phase. Pretty cool, huh? They go and tell the disciples. The disciples are like, I don't know, man. It says that, what's the actual word? And their words seemed to them like idle tales, wives' tales, and they did not believe them. Come on, disciples, man, you just choked. You choked bad. But thankfully, God is compassionate. Matthew 8. Now, when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him. That's a Roman, high-ranking Roman officer. My servant is lying at home, paralyzed and dead and tormented, and would you come heal him? It's kind of like his CEO, is his chief employee. Jesus goes and heals him. The centurion says, "You don't have to come under my roof. I know you can do this. Just say the word and he'll be healed." And Jesus is astonished at his faith. He's not even a Israeli or Israelite or Jew, whatever you called him back then. He was a Roman, but he had all this faith that Jesus Christ could do all this. Now, here's the key part. Another one of those politically incorrect passages. He says, verse 10 there, "I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. And I say to you that many will come from east and west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness, and they'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Okay, there you have it. You got all this talk about who's Abraham's children, who's got the DNA of Abraham, and they deserve the land and all that kind of stuff. Jesus says, you know what? When it gets right down to it, when we all sit around and start hanging out with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, it's going to be all these Gentiles and Romans, and the sons of the kingdom, the Jews, are going to be cast out into outer darkness, and they'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This is like a major theme in the New Testament again and again and again. We've got off it somehow. Somehow we've got off it. And if you talk about it, people might even, make fun of you and persecute you. But come on, guys, just read the Bible. Just read the New Testament. It's right there. It's all very simple. Okay. That's the gospel of the day. Quickly, let's do the saint of the day, the Christian hero. Short one, kind of interesting one. St. Paul, physician of Corinth. He was 6th century. So in the 500s AD, St. Paul, in his youth, he took monastic tonsure. And he became an experienced ascetic. Once Paul, through demonic malice, was slandered by a woman. She came to the monastery with a newborn infant, and she said, "Paul is the father." And so Paul, with humility and joy, endured the slander. He didn't deny it, and he took the infant as though it was his own son. So the monastics came and began to reproach him for breaking his monastic vows. St. Paul said, "Brethren, let us ask the infant who the father is." And so the newborn baby, pointing his hand at the blacksmith over here, said, "He's the father, not the monk Paul." So seeing this miracle, people bowed down to the elder asking forgiveness. He had the ability to heal the sick, and he died at age 70. Okay. Pretty cool story in that he just accepted the infant and didn't try to, vindicate his name. And then some little infant points to the real father. A little far-fetched. There's a lot of far-fetched stories out there. And a lot of far-fetched stuff in the Bible. So here's a far-fetched saint story. So enjoy it. St. Paul, the physician of Corinth. Okay. Ethiopia. Why Ethiopia? Well, here's my story. I'm sticking to it. Let me go back to my thing here. So, I'm in the pro-life movement and the pro-family movement in the 80s and 90s. I'm an activist and this sort of thing. And in that world, in that culture, you read a lot about birth rates and the problem of birth rates. And not only is abortion a problem, but the fact that people just aren't having kids and birth control, that's a problem. Then Pat Buchanan comes out with his book about the death of the West. And the West is going to die. It already is dying because we ain't having any kids. So all this is going on. And I'm taking notice of this. And I'm starting to pray. And I asked the Lord, I said, "Lord, if nobody's having kids, where is the future of Christianity going to be?" Now, for me, since I'm Orthodox, I require kind of an ancient Christian tradition to go along in a country along with a high birth rate in order to have a future. So I spent a summer in Korea, South Korea, very, very Christian country. However, their birth rate went from like 7 children per woman in like 2 or 3 decades to 0.9, like the lowest on the planet. Lord have mercy. What in the world would happen there? So South Korea's out. A couple other countries that I thought could make the cut, but couldn't. Then you got ancient Christian countries like Greece since the very beginning, but their birth rate's like 1.5. Replacement is 2.1. Russia, ancient Christian country, their birth rate is 1.9, up from 1.4. They've been trying hard to get their birth rate up. Good for them, but they ain't got there yet. Couldn't find a country that had an ancient Christian tradition and a high birth rate until I came across Ethiopia. Ethiopia. At the time I was doing this prayer and asking the Lord about this, it was about 5 children per woman. Hope it's still there, but it may have gone down a hair because Bill Gates and the UN are doing everything they can to get that number lower. Anyway, by the way, if I move my microphone just a little bit, you can see that it says, "Thank you for smoking," in case anybody missed that. Didn't have a whole lot of time to set everything up perfectly today, but thank you for smoking. You're welcome. So it's like Ethiopia. Well, Ethiopia is arguably the oldest Christian empire. Starts in Acts chapter 8 with the Ethiopian eunuch who gets baptized by Philip. He goes back to Ethiopia, Queen Candace. There's a movement that starts there, and it slowly spreads. But we know that in like 300 AD, the emperor of Ethiopia converts to Christ. And we've got coins from that time where there's a big cross on it, earliest known coins with Christian influence or crosses. Ethiopia became a official Christian religion of an empire like before Rome. Rome allowed Christianity under Constantine, but it didn't become the official religion of the empire until like 380. Ethiopia by 330 is kicking it. So anyway, one of the oldest Christian empires. They were 1,000 years Jewish before Christianity. Claimed to have the Ark of the Covenant. We'll talk about that a little bit more maybe. So this ancient Christian and Jewish before that tradition, they don't like the word Jewish. They like to say we were Old Testament believers. But anyway, so here you got it, Ethiopia. It may be that 100 years from now, 200 years from now, that Ethiopia's got more Christians than anybody else. Can you stand it? It's crazy. So that piqued my interest. I saw this video about the Ark of the Covenant. Where might it be? I think it was a National Geographic video of all things. And they concluded at the end, their best guess was that it was in Ethiopia. Really? Well, I wasn't so much intrigued by where the Ark of the Covenant was. I mean, I was mostly intrigued that there was a sub-Saharan Christian tradition before, older than 300 or 400 years, almost 2,000 years old. I was like, wow. No one ever told me that. Yeah. So then I became Orthodox, and Ethiopians are what's called Oriental Orthodox or Syrian Orthodox. And for you people who study theology in detail, they broke with the Eastern Orthodox in the 400s during the Council of Chalcedon over exactly how the human and divine natures of Christ mix together. It's kind of complex. Somebody needs to write a book about it. Nobody has. But anyway, I won't go there because it's a little too nuanced, a little too complex, a little too nerdy, a little too something to spend too much time on. But when I was there and talking to the top dogs, theological dogs of Ethiopia, they told me right now we're looking more for functional unity than formal unity, because formal unity is probably a long way away. I've got an hour-long YouTube interview with Archbishop Alexander of the OCA, who's quite a scholar, who give some nice insights on that. You can go watch that if you'd like. But anyway, they are generally Orthodox. So when I became Eastern Orthodox, I became even more intrigued, enchanted, interested in Ethiopia. Okay. Then what? Well, then several years later, I was trying to get to Ethiopia. I got to go over there and check this place out. Well, my mother, who's quite a world traveler as a Protestant missionary, she had a sister who's quite not a Protestant missionary, who was a flaming atheist, wild liberal, wild woman living as an artist for 60 years in Nairobi, Kenya. She took me and my two children, my mom did, to go see Aunt Joni. Did a podcast about Aunt Joni with my mom. Most of it, we didn't have audio. That was unfortunate. But anyway, we went to go see Aunt Joni, and Ethiopia's, right next door. In fact, probably shouldn't have to do this, but I know how you people are, and you need this. So let me see if I can find it. Ooh, got to be a better way here. Come on, Dean. What happens here? Not StreamYard. Not that. Cancel. This is what I'm trying to bring you, and I'm not succeeding. Share screen. Window. Boom. Got it. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Right there. See it? Just because you guys need to know, that's Ethiopia. There's Africa, and the Cape Horn over there, the red part, that's where the country of Ethiopia is. It's a big country. It's the second most populous country in Africa. I think it's the second largest economy, and it's a large landmass. It's not the largest landmass in Africa or anywhere near some of the other countries. But right to the right of it is the Red Sea, and where a lot of the action's going on right now with shipping. It's the second biggest route behind the Strait of Hormuz. But right below Ethiopia there is Kenya. So I'm headed to Kenya. And so I say to my mom, hey, if I'm going to Kenya, I got to go to Ethiopia. And so we spent 2 weeks. I spent my first week in Kenya. The second week, my mom and the kids, they went on safari, and they went and saw the animals and everything. And I flew up to Ethiopia, and I went around talking to people and trying to hang out and get a sense of it. So made a lot of really good contacts. Miss Connie, you out there? Shout out. And was able to go 2 or 3 or 4 times and meet a lot of important people and interview a lot of people. And pretty soon it led to a great book that I wrote about Ethiopia, because people just need to know. I mean, I didn't know much. Then I did know, and then I wrote a book, and now a lot of people know, and I guess that's the way that works. Let me see. I've got something else in the oh yeah. Let me see if I can get this on your screen. I think I have to remove. But this building right here that I'm about to show you is the building that they say the Ark of the Covenant is housed in Ethiopia. It's in a northern city called Aksum that I went to several times. Really enjoyed being there. I've got friends in Aksum. It's been war-torn and there's problems there. So unfortunately, that's been going on. But they say the Ark of the Covenant is in that building. Is it? I think it's our best option. Can I prove it? No. But one of the things people say is like, oh, well, can you go and see it? Oh, they won't let you see it. Well, if you lived in Israel in Solomon's day, when we had the temple and everything, or in Moses' day with the tabernacle, you couldn't see it back then either if you were a rank and file Israelite. Only if you were like a high-level priest. I think the high priest got to see it once a year. Nobody else got to see it. So just because the Ethiopians aren't going to let you see it doesn't mean that their theory or allegation that they have it fails. All right. A few other things I want to mention about Ethiopia and why I wrote a book about it, why you should get that book. I encourage you to buy the book and read it. There's a audio book, so you can do it that way. A lot of people do audiobooks now. Unknown Empire is the name of the book. Yeah, uh, it's worth reading. Ethiopia is the only African nation that was never colonized. The Italians came in a couple times in 1890 and 1930 and tried to take them over, and they were repelled. Fascinating story, real underdog wins kind of thing. It was a lot of fun to cover all that. But so I encourage you to get the book. There's so much I could say, and I guess I will probably do more podcasts on Ethiopia since I wrote a thick book about it. But one of the things I want to mention, I recently got back from the Amazon. It was a missions trip. We took solar-powered MP3 players to tribes who had never heard the gospel in their native tongue. That was a lot of fun. I got back about 2 months ago. It was a hard trip. I'll do a podcast about it. But anyway, a missions trip, okay? But when I used to go to Ethiopia, people would say to me, "Oh, is it a missions trip?" It's like my trip to the Amazon. Oh no, it's not like a missions trip to the Amazon. Very different. And I would say, no, it's a reverse missions trip. They would kind of look at me. And sometimes I would explain it, and sometimes I wouldn't, just to make them kind of squirm. But the reason I would say that is, first of all, they've been Christian as a society 1,000 years longer than we have. Okay. Secondly, they got 1,000 monasteries. We hardly got any monasteries in North America. Russia has a bunch of monasteries, not 1,000. Greece has a bunch of monasteries. I don't think they have anything close to 1,000. Ethiopia has 1,000 monasteries. They got all these people praying and studying and reading. And they got a lot to teach us in the spiritual realm. And so it's a reverse missions trip. They're teaching us. I'm not teaching them. Secondly, Ethiopia is not giving in to modernity. I mean, that's our biggest problem right now in the world, in my opinion, and what the demons are really trying to do. They're trying to modernize us, trying to make men no different than women. That's all the same. You're right. Oh, sure. Right. They're trying to kill babies in the womb with abortion. They're trying to keep the population rate low because they don't want more people and more Christians on the planet. Modernity, do I need to explain? I mean, it's a horrible, terrible heresy that has gotten the West kind of wholesale, but not Ethiopia. Oh no, they still believe in men and women. They still believe in babies. They still believe in having children and having families. They still believe in the Bible. They still believe in ancient Christianity and creation and all that sort of stuff. So that's the second reason. The third thing is I kind of keep Ethiopia in my pocket because, things could get crazy. We don't know. There might be a day of reckoning. There might be a nuclear exchange. There might be financial meltdown, and nobody can feed each other. And some of us might have to go somewhere to survive. And one of those places could be Ethiopia, especially if you're a Christian and you want to go to a Christian-friendly place. I mean, you could run to China, but that might not be so friendly to you when they find out you're a devout Christian. So Ethiopia has that going for it. There's a lot of reasons that we want to be friendly with Ethiopia, and we want to learn from them. So reverse missions trip. So I went on a reverse missions trip several times to Ethiopia. I encourage you to go on a reverse missions trip and see what you can learn. And it ain't always about the white guy going over and teaching everybody everything from on high. Doesn't always work that way. So there you go. All right, I'm running for Congress. It's June 28th. Vote for me. Give them my campaign, DeanArnoldForCongress.com. Subscribe and share. Let people know about this podcast. And this has been good. I got some pictures I could show you, but I think I've made my point. This has gone a little longer than I expected it to go. I hope it worked out since I'm off-site. Some, technology quirks and that sort of thing. But I'm glad I was able to tell you about Ethiopia. It's a fascinating and wonderful place. And there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of them. There's like 3 or 4 million Ethiopians in America. So they're having children and they can do stuff that we can't do. Like we can't fill up monasteries because you got one kid, you got one boy in your family, you can't give them up to a monastery. But if you got 6 or 7, okay, we'll send one off to the monastery to be a monk. But anyway, Ethiopia, these are awesome people. They've never been colonized. They're all nice and kind and friendly and smiley, but don't try to take them over. They'll kick your butt. And they've done it several times. And they're very, very admirable people. I think I've said everything I need to say today. So that means we're going to go over to the music and we're going to head out. Enjoyed it, guys.
Dean Arnold.